and county assemblies, for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important tasks in this county and the Republic of Kenya. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our county and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Sergeants, ring the bell for quorum.
And it's not only the all of us, the abuse does not stop.
Let's confirm if the quorum is there. Orders of the business.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I wish to you that go bill at Kapsabet. So let's ensure that we are able to mobilize and be able to get, and the work will be led, I think, by the Committee on Delegated Legislation led by the chair, Honorable Bombok. And I was really impressed. Honorable Bombok has been running up and down trying to ensure that it will be a success. So let us support Honorable Bombok in the process. Next order.
Order 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, papers. Order number 5, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion.
Honorable Mayo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That this House adopts the report on tourism and culture and social welfare committee report on Nandi culture and heritage policy, Nandi tourism policy, that was laid on 17 September 2019. Preface. The two policies have been developed by the chief officers in charge of tourism, the chief officer in charge of culture and heritage. The two policies are anchored by the Constitution of Kenya 2010, County Government of Act 2012, the principles of national values and principles of governance. Article 174 of the Constitution of Kenya provides that the key objectives of devolution is to provide social and economic development and provide document easy accessible services throughout Kenya. The purpose of these policies is to improve the execution of programs within the Department of Tourism in order to promote Nandi County as one of the premier tourist destinations in the country. The policy takes into account that the challenges experienced since the advent of the devolution system of government, opportunities that remain untapped, and possible intervention measures. Honorable Speaker, we have the mandate there. I'll not read. Honorable Speaker, that is the report from the chair. So we go to the background of the committee. According to the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the county government is comprised of two arms, the executive and the county assembly. The two arms have distinct roles. While the county executive is tasked with the role of preparing proposed legislation, the county assembly is tasked of approving these legislations. Under the devolved system of government, citizens participate in their governance by exercising their sovereignty, either directly or indirectly through elected and appointed representatives, and in this case, members of the county assembly. Article 185 of the Constitution gives express authority to the county assembly to receive and approve plans, policies for the government and exploitation of county's resources. Honorable Speaker, the following two policies, that is the Nandi Culture and Heritage Policy, Tourism Policy, were committed to the committee on May 2019. In the course of interrogating the two policies, the committee engaged the two chief officers with a view of getting in-depth knowledge on the purpose of the aim of the two policies, Culture and Heritage Policy. The Nandi County Policy and the Nandi County Policy on Culture Heritage is expected to obtain the following. The policy intended to mainstream culture in development with a view to promoting cultural expression such as literature, arts, traditional celebrations, science, communications, informations, mass media publication, and libraries. 2, to guide cultural development at county level and establish collaborations mechanisms between the national and county governments in cultural development matters. 3, to promote the national values and principles of national governance as enshrined in the Constitution, to provide means by which the county can carve out a strong and vibrant county identity that instills pride and patriotism. 5, to promote, develop, safeguard, and preserve country's cultural heritage for prosperity by promoting the fullest possible. Policy analysis. We have chapters. We have put this, analyzed this policy into chapters. Chapter 1, operationalizations of the policy. Vision. It's further enumerated in different thematic areas as shown below. We have thematic areas in chapter 3 that shows every part of it. I will not read all the parts. So all thematic areas are 10 in number. So the members can read. We go to 2.24, chapter 4. It's about language and culture development. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 recognizes the diversity of language and its space in promotion of country's diversity. Language is important to any society, noting that loss of any indigenous language poses a greater risk to the future generations. This one, I may stress it, Honorable Speaker, we have in our society, most of our children cannot talk in vernacular. Now they talk in Sheng Kiswahili and Sheng English. So we need to promote that one. The policy seeks to promote indigenous culture by, among others, ensuring by ensuring that all documents are disseminated in both English, Swahili, and indigenous languages, enacted or of relevant legislation to support translation and publication in indigenous languages. Chapter 5 is about cultural industries development and promotions. Industries such as media, entertainment, and artistic sectors can be for social development and job creation. Efforts such as prevention of all forms of piracy, which does among others. Chapter 6 is strengthened and included in the process of development. This policy recognizes that fact. It also seeks to bring relevant legislation that is geared towards promotion and preservation of families. In this chapter, most of the citizens in the Nandi do not have the names of the family members. For example, we have people like Senge, Mama. Those things are not maintained. There is auntie and uncle. So we need to show the family names of such to the citizens. Chapter 7 is about culture and human rights. Culture and heritage is a human rights issue. Heritage sites communicates and transmits knowledge of the past and at the same time provides a pathway towards the future. The government, therefore, have a responsibility to preserve heritage for the future generations. Chapter 8 is about heroes and heroines. The policy seeks to provide a structural framework of identifying the identification of persons who, through selfless acts, have contributed to the prosperity and pride of the community. Chapter 9 is about the media and culture. Media affects culture, and culture can be affected both negatively and positively. Therefore, new media can impact on norms and traits in the same way. Chapter 10 is about culture and education. The chapter lays emphasis on the role of academic institutions in partnering with relevant departments to develop the capacity of officers dealing with cultural research. Chapter 11 and 12 concerns aspects of cultural tourism and human resource development, respectively. We go to the second policy, that is Nandi tourism policy. That is the objective, scope, and rationale. These documents are available. Members can read. The policies are available, but this one is a report. Objective and scope and rationale. Chapter 1 introduces the policy. Chapter 2 enumerates the scope, objectives, and principles of the policy. Some of the objectives include the following: to provide mechanisms for the promotion of both the domestic and international tourism by coming up with intervening measures that include legislation and investment in terms of human resource and infrastructure. To make tourism in Nandi a productive venture by making it a competitive through positive interventions like marketing and investments. This will enhance its ability to compete regionally and internationally. Bring about productive collaboration between the county governments and to provide sector and the private sector through the improvements of physical infrastructure in areas leading to the prime tourist destinations. To promote resource and development in the industry by collaborating with national institutions that are mandated to build capacity in service industry that accords to international standards. And qualitative research that establish necessary data that provides real-time information to the public with aspects of respect to visitors' numbers, movements, facilities, and profile of available tourist destinations. Chapter 3 is the regional cooperation. The policy appreciates the fact that Some tourist sites transcend boundaries, hence the need for coordination, development across the counties. There is a need for the coordinated development of tourist sites, sharing of responsibilities and benefits. Chapter 5 is on the national cooperation. It seeks to establish the working channels between the county governments and the national government through 2015. Some other areas of cooperation would include preservation of national monuments found in Nandi County like Kotalel Samoe Museum, noting that the tourism sector is fundamentally influenced by circumstances like insecurity. It also highlights the need for the improvement by physical infrastructure like roads leading to major tourist sites within the county. Close cooperation between the Department of Tourism and that of roads and infrastructure is key in unlocking tourist potential in the county. Chapter 6 relates to tourism promotion. Through enhanced investment and medium-term enterprises, access to capital, new product development, and training and personnel developing, among other aspects. It also called aggressive. Speaker, there is some conversation going on.
Proceed, Honorable Mayo.
Okay.
I think Honorable Teno and Honorable Clara are busy discussing matters touching on Kabiet.
Okay.
So if they can talk on Lotons, there will be no problem. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chapter 6 relates to tourism promotion through enhanced investment. I've read that one. Chapter 7 and 8 of the policy focuses on issues related to its implementation, monitoring, and evaluation respectively. Findings. The policy outcomes are clearly stated. The policy have a clear purpose and outcomes of its, if it is to be of any value to the department, failure of which it will be extremely difficult to implement a policy in a situation where people do not recognize the problem as to be of urgent attention. Under paragraph 1.4, rationale of the policy, the drafters of the policy on culture and heritage have clearly captured 5 fundamental reasons that have promoted the development of the said policy. Stakeholder input. Some stakeholders are the people. Stakeholders are the people, institutions, and community who directly affected the implementation of the 2 policies. The policy on several instances recognizes the need to partner with local people who have a deep understanding of indigenous knowledge, systems, and beliefs that leads to the conservation of environments without necessarily interfering on economic and social activities of communities. It is not clear to the committee if far and wide consultation are held with the relevant stakeholders in the industry. Priority on public interest. In all public policies, public interest should form its core. The 2 policies at its core have been written with the general outcome and expectations, being the public will be better off as a result of their implementation. Whether the policy is measurable. Although the policy has enumerated the need to develop legislation or a program for a particular desired outcome, the policy has not provided timelines for the same, especially where the new legislation is proposed. Without timelines, it is difficult to evaluate the effectiveness of the policy. On accountability, it is apparent that the 2 policies, no specific people and departments are accountable for specific roles, and within what time frame. In an ideal situation, everyone beginning from the CEC concerned to the person who is lowest in the rank within the department to be accountable in some part of the policy. enforcement. Where there is no legislation in place to enforce, some of the programs proposed, the policies have clearly expressed the need to come up with one. A policy that cannot be enforced is not worth the time and effort to be put into it. The two policies are practicable, hence are enforceable. There is capacity for evaluation. Evaluation of policies helps determining the effectiveness and possible areas of the drafters of these two policies have clearly stated expected outputs vis-a-vis policy action and to bring about the expected outcomes. Proposed legislation and policy frameworks highlighted in different sections of the policy are all geared towards an effective system that is variable and accountable. Recommendations. The county and the Ministry of Sports and Culture and should come up with a framework agreement for managing and improving the fortunes of the national museums found in Nandi, especially Koital El Samoei Museum, under Article 189, subsection 2 of the Constitution. Both levels of government are obligated to cooperate and in the performance of functions and exercise of powers. The department is encouraged to initiate the mapping of new tourism products within the county with a special focus on tea estates as a component of ecotourism. Timelines, especially on the proposed legislations, need to be clearly expressed in the policy for purposes of accountability. Through the public-private initiative, a workable framework between the county government and private individuals to jointly develop and promote sites that bears rich historical and cultural meaning to the people of Nandi. Committee resolution. Upon the further scrutiny of the two policies, the committee is satisfied that they are sound and has been framed in its contents, form, or structure in accordance with the provisions of Constitution. The committee, therefore, have adopted this report, the Nandi County Culture and Heritage and Policy, Nandi County Tourism Policy. The committee have appended their signatures there. That was on 17 September 2019. I propose this for adoption. I want my second to be Margaret Nyaundu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I therefore seek to propose question on the Tourism, Culture and Social Welfare Committee report on the two policies, and the same may be debated by the House. Honorable Philip Chepkwony.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. From the onset, I want to thank the Honorable Chairman and the Department of the Tourism for coming up with the two policies about the culture and heritage policy and the tourism policy. Honorable Speaker, as Honorable Chairman, I will say the culture and heritage policy will cure some of problems that we have in Nandi. We are almost actually losing our culture, Honorable Speaker, to some of the arising language like Sheng, Honorable Speaker. So this will cure some of the problems that we have. And on the tourism policy, I think, Honorable Speaker, this is a good policy that will assist us actually to market our the resource that we have in Nandi. Several tourist destinations. With this policy, which actually talks about the public-private partnership, Honorable Speaker, realize in Nandi, several destinations that we have is owned by individuals. So when we have a policy like this one that will gather for that, then it will be a remedy for us actually to exploit some of these areas that we have the potential tourism. Otherwise, I think this is a good policy by the department. We need more of this from several other departments so that actually we take our county to create the heights. Otherwise, I support Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Teno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support in totality my chair. And as a member of tourism, Honorable Speaker, I think the way Chairman has read this document clearly, I think honorable members have really understand. And I beg honorable members that we adopt the policy and we pass it without this much because it is actually self-explanatory, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Komen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank the committee led by our able chairman for the good report. Actually, tourism is a sleeping giant in our county. And today, as much as the report may not have everything, I think this is a journey that we can start. And it is a journey that will move forward together in terms of ensuring that we grow our county tourism sector. There are aspects that I've not seen or they've not been expressed explicitly in the report. One, it is not clear whether public participation was actually done on this report. We actually need to know whether actually public participation was done so that we move together with the public, because public participation is well enshrined in our Constitution 2010. Get to know whether that was done. Number two, the report did not actually capture well issues to do with mapping of all the tourist sites and maybe various cultures that exist within our county. So there may be need that those aspects are actually captured. Number three is that the report did not explicitly express that there is need of physical planning of all tourist sites so that we can exploit the resource in a planned manner. Actually, planning is everything. So without expressing issues to do with the planning, then we're actually planning to fail on that aspect. Fourth, and most essential part also, is that the report did not capture the prayer that what percentage of our resources be allocated to tourism, so that, you know, we cannot actually harvest from where we've not actually planted. So we need to allocate enough resources to tourism, and the enough resources is what percentage of our revenue, so that in the long run, we are able to harness so much from the tourism. If you go to most of our colleges, vocational training colleges, you get that they are offering actually courses to do with hospitality. Where are these students going to work after graduation if we are not able to promote the tourism sector? So, Honorable Speaker, I would believe as much as we would want to pass this report, maybe we need to actually check those aspects before we proceed further. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Terry Mayo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I like to support this report from the Department of Tourism by the committee, and would like to thank the members for coming up with this report. I'm interested mainly in the culture and heritage policy. Honorable Speaker, you realize that in our county, after the coming of Christianity and modern civilization, we lost most of the cultures that were there initially. And when it is said here that the policy is interested in mainstreaming culture, in development with a view to promoting cultural expressions such as literature, arts, traditions, traditional celebrations, science, informations, publications, and libraries. I really hope that the same will factor in the Nandi traditional initiation libraries such as songs, and I'm interested in the one that boys sing during initiation in the bush, mainly at night and towards morning. It really carries a lot of teaching that if...
Honorable Terry, are you talking from a point of knowledge?
But
Are you talking from a point of knowledge?
Yeah.
Because you are giving.
I've been listening to the songs and they are very educative. And I really hope that the same can be brought and even made as a curriculum for every initiation of the boys. It will restore the issues we are facing in terms of rape, incest, and all those things, and really restore the issues of respect for the women, the mothers, what they call Chiblaguk up Mr. Wake in the Nandi setup. I hope the department will actually borrow heavily from there so that we can have meaningful culture, because where we are right now, we are neither following the Bible or the traditions that were there, because those are the issues the society is crippling with. So I really support this policy, and I pray that the same be borrowed and followed, and even use the elders, the Nandega Burwan, the other one called Kokwet team, so that they can guide the issues of traditions and culture. So I support. Thank you.
Honorable Mengech.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I know most members. I know most members know where I stand. As Honorable Terry has said, I'm more interested in the Nandi County Culture and Heritage Policy, and I wish to thank the Committee on Tourism and Culture for this report. I would only ask the Chair, Honorable Mayo, the biggest hurdle we have in Nandi County and Kenya is implementation. Honorable Gideon should be here because definitely I'm in support of these policies. Honorable Speaker, the drafters of County Governments Act were so unfair and contradicted the Constitution. The Constitution says promotion of indigenous languages, and yet the County Governments Act says we can only use Kenyan Sign Language, Kiswahili, and English. Ironically, South Africa has 11 official languages, namely Afrikaans, Xhosa, Ndebele, Zulu, English, Sotho, Venda, and others. Yet here, we are so fearful of using our mother languages. Yet, even the new curriculum, the CBC curriculum, the competency-based curriculum, has said promotion of children should be taught in their mother languages. So together with the Committee on Tourism, we should see that the promotion of indigenous languages here does not mean Nandi alone. We have other. You see, when people talk about Luhya, for example, there's nothing. Those are political tribes. Like I've told people, there's nothing like a Kalenjin language. The same way there's nothing like a Luhya language. Abukusu are not intelligible with the Tiriki, for example. Amaragoli are not. So when you talk about indigenous languages, we are talking about Tiriki, we are talking about Maragoli, we are talking about Kipsigis, we are talking about Nandi. So together with the Committee on Tourism, Honorable Speaker, we are going to promote in our ECD centers. And the first thing I've seen in the policies, we need to fund the writing of books. You know, I get shocked when people cannot write words correctly. I'm even shocked that wrongly wrote names of places and we have adopted them as official names. Like I get mad when people write Tinderet names. Like I get mad when people write Tinderet. Even the MP for Tinderet cannot take time to correct that wrong. I'm shocked. Tinderet, there's nothing like that. And yet, we are the owners of the name, but we allowed other people to write for us. And yet we are literate. Why can't we correct these errors? So I members here, charity begins at home. As you have said, our children, most of us here, honorable members, our children don't speak their mother languages. And even if you come from across cultural marriage, I have two friends, they speak the two languages. The two mother language, the father's language, the mother's language, English, Kiswahili. I've told my children that I was a teacher of English. My mother language did not stop me from learning English, learning Kiswahili, and also doing so well in German in Form 4 that I got a B+ grade. So I'm urging members that we should promote indigenous languages because that is the language that carries culture. When you talk about culture, there's no way you can talk about Nandi culture if you don't know the language. So if a child is called Kiprop and they don't know the language that carries the name, why would you call your children Kiprop? Have Heroes Day so that our children role models, people who are courageous, people who are honest in defending what is right. So I support this. I support this report, Honorable Speaker, and as Honorable Tenor said, maybe we should not talk much.
Habari Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable Fred.
Ningependa kuuliza Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu naona hii sheria inaenda kuidhinishwa na nafikiri hatujaenda kwa kilugha ya mambo public participation. Tuende public alafu turudi hapa Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa sababu na itakuwa sheria. Mtu anaweza enda kotini Mheshimiwa Spika aulize mliuliza nani? Ndio ningependa kuuliza kwako nipate mawaida kwako kama sheria inaruhusu hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable Fred, this is a policy. In fact, the committee by the cabinet, which law mandates us to actually execute public participation, is a bill that has to be an act of parliament. So you'll find these policies have proposed that out of policies, the department has to come up with the legislation, which we are talking about. When the legislation will be formulated and it comes to this house, this is basically what gives rise to because it is a guiding principle. It is what now we use as a basis to do a legislation. And I've seen in the recommendations in both policies, they have clearly provided that legislations will be done to anchor these policies. What the committee found was there is an absence of timeline. Within what time will the legislations be done? And that has been captured in the committee report. And that's why it came through a motion, came in form of a motion. Honorable Fred, you are sure that if it was a bill, that ultimately becomes an act, then it would have gone through the first reading, second reading, public participation, and all that. So this is the different one. That's in form of a report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. People laughed off when Honorable Terry talked about documentation of our cultures. A.T. Matson, our libraries, he has documented part of the circumcision ceremonies, initiation ceremonies. I believe we should open our minds and document for the future generations, because you see, we are losing part of this culture because there is no documentation. So as much as some people are rigid, rigidity is going to cost us. We are going to document. We are going to take the courage and document our initiation ceremonies from step 1 to the last. Yes, just like all books cannot be read, it will be read by those who are supposed to go through the process.
Are you volunteering yourself?
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
I'll take the challenge. Number 2, Honorable Chair, tourism, monetization of culture. A few days ago, the Deputy President was in Kajiado, overseeing a very important Maasai ceremony called Eunoto. So you can imagine how much money circulated when the Deputy President was in that ceremony. Turkanas have theirs. We must monetize our culture. We must monetize our culture. So this one comes in between culture, monetization of culture. So I support this report, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Fred.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Ya kwanza kushukuru kamati kwa yale wamefikiria Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, kila mara sisi huwa tunasahau mambo mengi Mheshimiwa. Lazima tuhakikisha kwamba kwa kimila yetu Mheshimiwa Spika tunayafuata sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na kama sheria itakuwa inapitishwa Mheshimiwa Spika, itatusaidia kwa mambo mengi. Vile Mheshimiwa amesema hapa kwangu ward ya Kapsabet, kuna watoto wengi wanaitwa Kikurui, Chepchumba, lakini hawasikie lugha Mheshimiwa Spika. Na haya mambo ukiangalia sasa, kama sheria itakuja kusaidia hawa watu, wawasaidie Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukiangalia mbunge wa Wedne, yeye jina yake ni yeye ni Mkalenji lakini asikii lugha Mheshimiwa Spika. Na pia kuna siku hata alirudishwa nyumbani asipate kura, aende ajifunze lugha Mheshimiwa Spika. Na pia ukiangalia kila siku Disemba Mheshimiwa, wakati wa vijana wanatahiri Mheshimiwa Spika, unasikia kuna utofauti. Sasa zingine unasikia wengine wako na ya kanisa, kuna wengine ya kienyeji, na mambo kama haya ndio imeleta shida Mheshimiwa Spika. Tungependa pia tuangalie na tuungane pamoja na wananchi tutengeneze hiyo sheria na tuangalie vile tutafanya, angalau tujue wataangalia. Kuna mambo mengi tunaongea lakini hatuelewi inasema nini. Kwa Kinandi pia tunajua mambo mengi tunaongea lakini hatujui. Tungesema pia tuchatiliane, tuunge mkono, alafu tujue vile tutasaidiana kujua hiyo lugha, kujifundisha tabia wa Kalenjin, tujue sisi ni wapi. Unasikia sasa Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naishi mahali naitwa Singarwa lakini sijui maana yake mpaka sasa. Ndio wakati Mengeja alikuwa anaongea naanza kujiuliza na Singarwa ni nini, kwa sababu ni kwangu huko. Na hiyo ndio tunataka tusaidiane, unge mkono kamati angalau waende mbele. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable Bwambok.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also stand to support this motion, the Nandi culture, and the policy, and the Nandi tourism policy. Honorable Speaker, this has come at the right time. Communities are very rigid in what it comes or what we are trying to give them. Honorable Terry, however, said that in terms of when there is these ceremonies, initiation ceremonies, for example, for the youth, there are some other songs, as he referred, that can be sung there, and he quoted. However, I know, Honorable Speaker, those ones are in terms of proverbs. She can't truly know about it. However, she has mentioned in
Honorable
itself.
Bwambok, are you aware that Honorable Terry has said that she was speaking from a point of knowledge? That she knows and she understands.
Information.
Honorable Terry.
She can, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this time to inform Honorable Bwambok that the songs are so loud and clear, and they are sung when the everywhere is silent. I really wish I could say a few of the words of the song. and they are very educative, and they are not coded. They are not in proverbs. Maybe when they say,
Reboteri, you've
Honorable-
made your point. You've made your point.
okay.
Honorable Bwambok,
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. However, she is pulling to at least know, Honorable Speaker, those ones, but at least it's very hard to get at least the real point. Those are in terms of ironies and other things and proverbs which she can know. But Honorable Speaker, as Honorable Mayor has brought it, the chair, I know what we want to emulate from this culture and heritage. Honorable Speaker, you know, most of our communities in this country, we are not relying on, we are not only dealing with the Nandi or challenging, as Honorable Member has said, because we have to, there are in diverse point of view, Honorable Speaker. But this one, it is touching the tourism sector, and I know Honorable Mayor pointed some of the few things which we are going to benefit from. Not only the one Honorable Member said, I know that one has come because largely we are at a community whereby during the festive seasons like December, most of the initiation ceremonies are taking place. But Honorable Speaker, there are also few challenges that we are not seeing here from the department, because sometimes there are some sites which have been put aside as tourism areas, but were raised there. The governor did not answer, I did not answer, and even the minister did not answer. So you see, other things, we try to say that we are owning some of these in our country, yet we are not getting any benefit. So I hope that the department, in line with the Committee of Tourism and Culture and Social Welfare, will work in it so that at least we get something to speak out of it. Thank you. I do support.
honorable members, I wish to propose to the chair, when we normally have such a report and members give their contribution, it will be very prudent that once the hand produce the various contribution, you can see through the points so that as we forward the policies and the report, you also attach the comments of the respective members, because each member had a proposal and that must be incorporated here. Secondly, I also want to urge members, now that these reports are normally tabled in advance, it is also important for purposes of record, please incorporate amendments. We are normally good at amendments when it comes to reports touching on removal or recommending transfer of people. We are good at doing such amendments. But when it comes to such a substantive motion where we agree on it, but we have an additional information, rarely do I see amendments. So for posterity, a report or a motion once tabled before this particular house, if you've already seen or read it, because most members only pick the report a day before, but none bothers to look at it. You go leave it in your car, and in the morning you'll come with it. In fact, most of us read it at the floor when the mover of the motion is actually reading through the motion. If you take time, I'm sure within 20, 30 minutes, you skim through the motion or the report, you have an idea what you need to add. That have come in form of amendment. But now the comments of the individual members, each member has added a point here, then the same is forwarded to the department wholesomely. Then it will make motion that this house adopts the report of the Tourism, Culture and Social Welfare Committee report on the Nandi Culture and Heritage Policy, as well as the Nandi Tourism Policy as moved by the Chair, Honorable Mayo. Will as many as of a similar opinion say aye?
Aye.
As many as of a the ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, adjournment.
The House adjourns until the next session.